guys, as usual, I forgot to film the intro for this, so I'm doing it after the fact. As you can see, the splitter is already off here, but that's what this video is about, is basically getting some carbon repair done on the splitter. It had, up here in the front left, it had a little, I don't know, 5-inch corner of the bottom that had been damaged in an off. Otherwise, still plenty good splitter. So the game plan is basically get that repaired. This car came with, one of the reasons why I went with this one over some others I was looking at it, this car came with a complete second carbon body that's never been installed. Also came with a brand new splitter and new wing for the back, like I say, none of which have ever been installed. But while I'm learning the car, I thought maybe I'd just kind of repair a little bit of the little damage that this old fiberglass body had, and kind of learn the car on that before switching over to the new stuff, just because it is so expensive and kind of hard to get. So that's the game plan with this video. I've never really done carbon repair before, so that's going to be kind of learning experience a little bit. But like I say, I always forget to film intro. As you can see, it's a little late. The whole splitter's already off, but next step is going to kind of get it prepped and get it ready for carbon. So that'll be up next. This cardboard kind of form mold, whatever you want to call it, on the splitter, so I can start shaping everything, get the carbon repaired. When I went to bed, the foam was about, I don't know, 90-95% done expanding, but when I woke up, I had this crazy, you can't really see it on camera, it's actually a different color, this crazy arm that grew overnight, and it was actually sitting just like this, so it actually went vertical. It wasn't sagging towards the ground with gravity helping it. But anyway, I'm a little worried with as much expansion as I had, if basically the thickness is going to be a little too thick, if it pushed the two halves of the top half and the bottom half apart a little bit. There won't really be a way to clean that up, but this is kind of just a backup splitter anyway. I'm just trying to use to get on the car for first shakedowns and that sort of thing. But yeah, basically going to get the cardboard off of here, start trimming up all the foam, start shaping this leading edge, try to get it pretty close, and then start laying some carbon over it. So that'll be the next step. After hitting this thing with the DA for a couple of minutes, it's starting to take shape pretty good. I've got it pretty close to the original, lining up there. Same thing with the side. Kind of run up here. Luckily I had most of the top to use as a reference, and I could kind of get my angle. This actually isn't 90 degrees here to the splitter. It's actually got a little bit of a cant to it, so I was able to kind of set my angle down here and then work my way up to the top to try to kind of hold that. So it's not going to be pretty, but should be pretty close to the original, and at least be good for a starter splitter or a spare. So that's kind of the game plan. So probably about done sanding. I'll start scuffing up all the areas around for the carbon, top and bottom. Plan is to kind of do a couple of caps on the end here that'll wrap basically around the end, and then I'll probably do all this as a separate overlay and do some extra layers here, because this is where the end plates and the canards will mount at the end. So I'll probably do multiple layers there. Thought about even maybe doing some, I've got an old wing end plate. I thought about doing an insert of that and cutting it to shape and then laying the carbon over, so I still may do that. Maybe something I could put some rib nuts in. So we'll just have to see kind of what I decide there, but making progress. Foam worked pretty good, at least gives me something to lay on. The epoxy resin is foam safe, so it shouldn't eat any of this. I did test that on the back clamshell over here. There's foam inside of that, and I did do a test with the epoxy resin over there, and it didn't eat it at all. So so it should be good to go. So get some of this stuff cleaned up here, get some cloth laid on it, and we'll go from there. The next day, and this thing it's officially all set up and hardened finally. This new resin was pretty slow, but gave a little more working time. Unfortunately, as you can see, had quite a bit of issues with some deformation where that foam was. Now this epoxy resin is not supposed to eat any foam, since it's not solvent based like a polyester resin, but as you can see, I've got some pretty good holes. I mean, this thing was a dead straight line before, and now there's, you know, 3/4 of an inch of a hole kind of in this whole area, and then the side's the same way. You can see there's probably a 1/2 inch there, and just the whole thing is just wavy and sunken in. So not real sure what happened there. Again, it's not supposed to eat the foam. Top side came out better because essentially all the stock carbon was still there, so it was supported. The only other thing I can think of is maybe as the resin was setting up, and you know, it creates heat as it's curing, that maybe it melted the foam. But this was a super slow resin. In fact, it would take like 6 hours to gel, versus the stuff I used over here on the clamshell. It would gel in 20 or 30 minutes, and it would physically get warm. You could feel it in your hand in the cup, but this stuff was super slow to set up, and like I say, never felt any warmth in the cup or anything. So I don't think it could be heat could cause that much melting of the foam, but it's the only thing I could think of, because again, I've checked 3 times, and the epoxy resin is just not supposed to eat any sort of foam, including expanding foam like I used here. But anyway, it's done. I'll probably leave it like this, I think, to try to fix it. I think especially for just a backup splitter, I've got a brand new one still in bubble wrap. This is kind of just going to be a spare. I could come in here and try to, you know, do some filler or something. The side plate's going to be the biggest complication to get the end plate and the canards on, which I've got those all drawn in CAD, and they're actually printing in 3D printing as we speak, so I'll be able to do that. But I had this all formed up nice and square and flat for that in the foam, but like I say, it just it just deformed really bad, kind of as it was going on even, and then as it was setting up, it just kept getting worse, it seemed like. So I'll see if I can save this. I've already cleaned it up with some with a DA here, just getting rid of all the kind of finger snaggers and everything. Just make it smooth where you can run your hand over it and not get pierced by anything. So anyway, it's on there, it's done. And the next step is going to be see if I can make this end plate work, or if this end's going to need some work or some redoing. So that'll be the next step. Here on the non-damaged side, you can see the end plate of the splitter. It's got canard up top, got this ankle cutter down here at the bottom. That was all missing on the damaged side over there. So I've kind of reproduced that. Got a piece of aluminum here for the end plate. It's a little thinner than I wanted. I was hoping maybe something like some 06. I think this is probably half that. This is probably 03, 04, something like that. But I'm going to see if I can make it work. Then I got in CAD and basically drew up this canard. So this is basically a mirror image of this that'll go on the other side, like so. Like I said, kind of drew that up in AutoCAD, and then got that 3D printed, and then the same thing for the ankle cutter. Got it all drawn up with flange on it there, so I can mount it to the end plate. So that's the next step. Is I've kind of got the pattern drawn out on the back here of the end of the splitter on the other side, and kind of mark center line, hole location. So that's up next. Start drilling holes. Alright, after drilling my holes in the side of this splitter for my end plate over here, it became immediately obvious that this 3 layers of carbon and what I thought was pretty generous on the resin was not going to be anywhere near enough to hold a screw. Drilling through it, it was like drilling through a postcard. So backing up and punting again. I've got this all scuffed up in here with sandpaper, a bunch of Dremel marks, and just give something for the resin to bite into. And I've made these aluminum plates that I will screw down to the splitter first, and those will be my mounting blocks for the end plate. And then I'm going to glass over those with some fiberglass. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Number 1, cover up the end plates, and 2, start filling in all of this dish that happened when the foam deteriorated or melted or whatever happened, and get that built back up so I can maybe get back to the nice perfect flush that I had on the original foam. It'll basically give me something to sand and get a nice perpendicular edge there, and like I say, also capture the metal inserts as well and keep those in place. So that's the current game plan, and that's what we're going to start next. Got this thing, got the tape off of it. It came out pretty good. One thing I don't think I mentioned previously that ended up working out pretty good is when I set this thing up on its end, I got the digital level out and actually got this thing where it's perfectly perpendicular to the ground, kind of in both directions. And my goal was to basically let gravity create my perfect perpendicular end on the splitter, and kind of let it square everything up for me, and that has worked pretty good. You can see the old low spot here, how it's super thick, and then as it got better, it kind of naturally thins out, and it's just, you know, pretty straight, pretty perpendicular all the way down. So just going to hit this thing with a sander. There's a couple of, you know, little loose bits here and there, some fibers. Just hit it with a block sander real quick. Check, just, you know, hit any high spots and try to make it as flat as I can. But you can see the aluminum buried inside, that all came out pretty good. So I think I might finally have something I can work with here to get the end plate attached. So next up, like I say, just hit this thing with a block, start drilling holes, get that mounted. That'll give me a good idea of how strong this is going to be. But so far I'm liking what I see. I think I've finally got this thing ready to go back together for the last time. I've got my end plate all painted up, drilled, ankle cutter for the bottom, go here, 3D printed, same thing with the upper canard. I've got it all drilled, ready to go on, 3D printed as well. So that's what we're going to do next. Those things on here, I've got some, picked up some construction adhesive just to kind of give these screws a little bit of help, a little bit of bond on there, so they're not just relying on that, even though it's got the metal insert on there. Just try to do all I can, try to keep these pieces on here, keep them from flying off. So that's what we're going to do. Finally have this thing on here, ready to go back on the car. I think went pretty good. All my pre-drilling, it all lined up pretty good. Had a couple of holes needed to re-drill. They were just a little too tight. I kept snapping off screw heads, but finally got it all on here. I did have one little crack here when I tried pulling this bolt in before the other, so I may reprint this upper canard in carbon fiber and see if that does a little bit better. But mostly it was just me. I was just trying to tighten the one screw without tightening all the others and just busted the layer seam apart there. But finally got it all on there, so project complete. Next up, get this thing back on the car, start working on the rear clamshell over here. I've got it kind of together and a lot of the patches done. I've got to put a couple of the Zeus fasteners back in it, in the far side over there. But other than that, everything's kind of patched back together. But anyway, splitter project hopefully finally complete. This thing was kind of a bit of a nightmare, but got it all back together, and hopefully it'll hold out. Time will tell. But I think with the aluminum insert in there and the adhesive should help a little bit, a lot as well, not just rely on these screws. That should all hopefully help keep it in place. But anyway, project complete, on to the next. After a week of working on this thing, I finally got the splitter done, back on, suspension bolted, basically right back where I started, I guess, but just with the splitter repaired. It's definitely not pretty. Light actually makes it look even worse, but should get me back on track. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Like I say, it's just a backup splitter, so I can always switch to the new one once I kind of get comfortable with the car and that sort of thing. So anyway, learned a lot about the car. It kind of forced me to learn new vehicles, so that kind of worked out pretty well. Kind of figured out some of the suspension and how everything kind of goes together. So next up will be kind of the rest of the car, but at least one step out of the way. So next step, I'll continue working on the rear clamshell. I've got some carbon repair back there as well, and I found a few little blown out Zeus fasteners and that sort of thing I'll get repaired up. So that's kind of next on the list. But so far, pretty happy. Like I said, it came out pretty good. and it'll get me on track and just start enjoying the new car. So that's the game plan.